Very good morning, everyone. This is Rajendran here joining from Market Calls and welcome everyone to live training session on market profile and order flow. Now, first of all, price opens with a big gap down and price is trading sideways. It's been trading very close to the cluster. So there is a small cluster over here. Price is trading totally around the cluster. This is a cluster zone. And the next candle itself, it had taken a big negative delta at 925 candle. So already it is in a sell mode only. That is what I'm seeing here. And from the market profile perspective, what I'm seeing here is like price had taken out the 2-day low. And one of the important prominent point of control got a clearance, right? So which is kind of a temporary support zone, but later on it's a potential target. One of the potential target level, it got a clearance, which we will be studying very deeper in tomorrow's live session. And so this prominent point of control was one of the potential target. Failed auction is no more a reference from here on, right? So it doesn't, we have to pretend like as if there is no failed auction as a reference. It has to clear generally within T plus 5 days. But yesterday also it happened cleared. Very clearly we had a thinking that it's not going to clear. Chances are very, very less. So the question here is the next important reference what we are having is the 17,600 level, which is a visual weaker reference, which we've been carry forwarding. For a reason we are carry forwarding here because the K period exactly rest at the letter A period. Such a visual reference level, typically it gets cleared a bit faster, but this time it has been overextending. So price is also nearing that. So 17,610, around 17,610 is what that visual reference level is. So let's see if at all any selling pressure coming to the downside. 17,610 is one of the very important reference level to watch out on the downside. And talking about the current market confidence, the 2-day high is going to be a very important reference to monitor the confidence. As long as price stays down below the 2-day reference. Notice that very few number of TPOs got traded over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 TPOs. Price entered into 4 TPOs into the 2-day range and it started trading down. The more the price action is going to maintain down, we have to call this as a high confidence selling, right? So we're going to call this as an, as of now, I'll rate this as a high confidence selling. If the high confidence selling maintain as a high confidence selling, right? You know that it's going to be a very, very, it's going to turn out to be a very interesting day. It means the sellers are going to be serious. See, it is a gap down, but that gap down is not a very huge gap down like panic kind of a gap down, right? So it's a regular gap down only. So I'm going to term this as a high confidence selling. So high confidence selling, off late, we haven't seen any such kind of high confidence selling. If in case, if it is going to be a good selling markets, we'll start seeing a high confidence price action. More point of control will start forming down below the 2-day low. So one of the things that we need to monitor is the day, what are the chances that the day is likely to have a high confidence selling? So that needs to be monitored. Now this is with Nifty. When talking about Bank Nifty, so talking about Bank Nifty, there is a long way to go with Bank Nifty. Still nothing much. The top still is not confirmed yet. Maybe in the second half, we have to check whether is there any possible top formation or not, right? That we need to conclude that. Bank Nifty somehow it is trying to perform better compared to Nifty. So for Bank Nifty to monitor high confidence activity, we have to keep a reference around the previous day reference. If at all any price action happening down below. More the price action is going to happen down below previous day low and start trading down below that. That increases the odds of high confidence selling. More the price is going to trade down below yesterday's low, it is more of a high confidence. But listen carefully. Open is over here. Price opened. It went and straight away it closed the gap. Right. But that is not the case with Nifty. Nifty, it is a pure gap down. In fact, it's a multi-day breakdown. Whereas in Bank Nifty, it is not the same way. So last couple of days, we've been seeing that Nifty is behaving differently. Bank Nifty is completely behaving differently, which is quite common, right? So not every time Nifty and Bank Nifty has to do the same thing. In fact, 14 September, we had seen that Bank Nifty had a crazy up move, whereas Nifty closed, in fact, even though it recovered most of the losses, it still closed negative on that day on 14th of September. 15th of September also, Bank Nifty outperformed. Today also outperforming, but still, right? But still, we have to monitor for a high confidence selling. For high confidence selling, the reference is like previous day high only. And moreover, another important thing to focus here is whenever if last Friday, like we have a prominent point of control, there is also a prominent point of control over here. So if there is a prominent point of control, then my reference will shift to the early morning high itself. So only if the price breaks, then my early morning prominent point of control could become a target. Okay. See, as of now, as long as it is not breaking, the high confidence selling is going to get maintained. There is a previous day prominent point of control is there. Yesterday, a lot of clustered activity happened. Only if the day high is breaking very faster, the chances of Nifty going and touching the prominent point of control increases, maybe at B period or C period. Only in that case, the chances of price moving towards the prominent point of control increases a lot. But however, if that is not happening, or if the price is not able to come back, price started sliding down, that only increases the chances of valley area building to the downside. And right now, high confidence is what I'll say. Only if there is a change in confidence, yes, it could be a intraday long opportunity also. But focus on what is happening right now. Right now, what is happening? Right now, there is no change in the confidence yet. If at all any change in confidence, you'll start seeing price will start breaking the letter A period high. If that is not getting broken, it's going to be a pure intraday short only. As of now, it is an intraday short, right? And from the order flow perspective, we've been seeing that the price started moving down below the cluster activity, and that definitely it is not a good sign. So that means here is where the price broken down 17,775. That means what could be the target? 75 points target. Why? Because we are in a high volatile market now. Market volatility is increasing. So the target is also increasing. So 17,700 is what we can anticipate with this kind of targets. If at all something has to change, price has to break above and then it should start trading with a high wall, high delta. In that case, context might change completely to the positive side. So still Bank Nifty is trying to outperform comparatively. Not much of a losses in case of Bank Nifty as of now. But looking from the indicators. So indicators, what we've been seeing, indicators, 15-minute time frame. So daily is been in the sell mode for the third day. And the Nifty Harley is maintaining negative again. And 15-minute also thus far negative. Yesterday it turned negative over here. So thus far it is maintaining negative. Nothing much to conclude here. It's been keep on maintaining negative for quite some time now. Then comes the Nifty here. So USDNR is attempting to close some of the open equal to high levels. It's been ramping up. So I think more or less we've been trying to move towards the sell signal, which is like price coming and breaching 17,590 and closing, one candle will be completely closing down below that. So I think today the chances are still very higher that 17,590 kind of levels. In a very, very short term, we can still anticipate. And the extreme indications also pointing to the downside. So more it is pointing to the downside, faster the price action can happen. But still, what is missing with the Bank Nifty is like Bank Nifty is still struggling at the top, right? So means conclusively, if it start falling down, then the direct destination is even more. It's going to be faster. As of now, Bank Nifty is not faster yet, but I think maybe once the top is getting confirmed, we'll start seeing and downside odds very quickly start coming in. So remember, high confidence selling is there. 10 o'clock also, if we are seeing it's a high confidence selling. 11 o'clock is also high confidence selling. Maybe those kind of days, right? It's better not to fight against the downside. That generally, I prefer not to fight against high confidence activity. Very, very rarely trading against a high confidence activity makes sense. Majority of the time, fighting against the high confidence lead to potential damage. If you're seeing high confidence activity is maintaining like a high confidence activity, definitely it is not a great idea to take a mean reversion trades or a trend reversal activity. So there are many times it could go for an bigger destruction most of the time. Big trends happens when high confidence activity is getting maintained most of the times. So monitoring high confidence is a very, very important thing in today's case. So the entry point happens over here, right? This is the level where the entry happened. It's approximately 17,775. Another 50 points to go on the downside to complete the target for the volume cluster breakdown. And opening volumes, 18,000. See, 18,000 is a reasonable volume only, not a freaky volume. Something if you're seeing like 25,000, 30K, 40K, that means extreme panic is there, right? So this is not extreme panic. This is some normal, regular panic is there. Some 100 points gap down, 120 points gap down. It's not because of some news-based gap down as such, right? If there is any news-based gap down, or just because US market is yesterday crashed like 3%, 4%, then that freakiness will be there. Such kind of market only first it will start bouncing back up. So this is a different market. You have to understand that volumes are different here. People are freaking, but not it's not an extreme panic. When extreme panic is there, such a market, if it is opening with a gap down and within 1 or 2 minutes, it will start bottoming out and they'll start ramping back up. Those are very, very dangerous to short. This kind of markets, yes, they are opening gap down. They had a little bounce back and they are settling down, and once again they start coming down, right? So this is completely a different scenario. So not every gap down is not a same thing. Not every gap up is also not a same scenario. So letter B period has also started coming down. Initial auction is down. High confidence is still maintaining at a high confidence. Right now, I have 9:30 also. I'm checking 9:45, 10 o'clock also. If I'm gonna check like this, if I keep on checking, if the high confidence is maintaining like a high confidence, right? That means one thing is there. The trend is evolving. Please don't try to fight against the trend. If at all you want to fight against the trend, the confidence has to somehow it has to change. A change in confidence is always a trade. One more important thing to remember, when there is a multi-day breakout is there, it left only few TPOs. We also talked about this kind of setup. When price is leaving the station with very few TPOs and elongation is happening to the downside, such kind of market shows again a sign of a high confidence market activity. Remember, we had spoken about this kind of high confidence activity, how we can measure a high confidence activity. Typically, a high confidence activity happen like price enter into the range, very few TPOs would have been got traded and price will start sliding down. So those are signatures of a high confidence. So means momentum traders, breakout traders are very serious on these kind of places. And Reliance is what we've been focusing here. The reason is we also talked about yesterday. Reliance is getting more and more weaker. It's getting weaker, and today also it's a high confidence price action. Reasonable gap down, not a bigger one. It's ramping to the downside still. High confidence is maintaining like a high confidence. So Reliance is aggressively pushing towards the level that what we've been watching here is like 2420. So Nifty, it's a big gap down, and it's not a so big gap down, but a reasonable medium gap down, we can say like 100 plus points is a medium gap down. Something like 200 points, 300 points, that is extraordinary gap downs. So almost another 8 points or another 10, 12 points down. I think the cluster target would have been met. The liquidation is happening a bit faster though, which is what the anticipated one is. And one more important thing, yesterday also the put seller win. So that's something like a very interesting thing. Like they've been priced, they managed to close above 17,500, 600 kind of levels. It's almost continuously 8 weeks or 9 weeks. Only put sellers are the one continuously they were winning, despite all these big gap up, gap downs, and everything. Put sellers are still winning on a week basis, on an expiry basis. They are always winning from Friday to expiry closing. So today is also Friday. So again, closing Friday closing again, it's going to be very important. 17,700 is the target for the cluster breakdown. See, just because the high confidence price action is there, momentum trading is happening, and price targets are getting revisited very much faster. Otherwise, in a low confidence market, we will shrink our target. Right? We don't go for 75 points. We will talk only about 50 points only, and mostly it happens. They'll rotate, and suddenly during middle of the day they'll come and touch those levels, something like that. But here it is more of a high confidence market, a high volatile market also. So that is why the price action is getting revisited very much faster. Even if you would have seen yesterday also, the price action was very much faster because volatility in the market started ramping up. If you would have been, it's almost 17,700 has been touched. So 75 points of downside movers done with respect to order flow. Okay, so now let's go and revisit the volatility, try to understand what is happening in the volatility. So Bank Nifty is also ramping down. So what I'm thinking here is, if in case the letter A period high is going to stay, it becomes a dual momentum top. And the sentiment also, if it's going to maintain down, then high chances are like dual momentum top is once again, it could be forming in case of a Bank Nifty as well. So that means Bank Nifty could have been made a top. By end of the day, we can confirm that. And Monday morning, again, we can conclude that the top formation is continuing or not. And the chances are getting very, very high that maybe the second half we can conclude whether it's a dual momentum top or not. But right now, Bank Nifty is also maintaining a high confidence selling. So by the end of the day, we're going to conclude that yes, Bank Nifty is also forming a one more top formation in the form of a dual momentum top. So what is the dual momentum top? 2 continuous days with a letter A period high, and letter A period high is also formed at an all-time high or a major swing high. So that is what we're going to look through that. So Bank Nifty, what is the context here? Is it really? Yes, the sentiment is turning negative. That is very important. And the letter A period, still a long way to go, but the letter A period has to stay for the day. Okay, here also, if you could see, price went only few TPOs into the yesterday's range, hardly 3 TPOs, and started going down. So that is also again a sign of a high confidence selling, right? So the high confidence selling pattern is there in Nifty also, in Bank Nifty also. Price is also ramping down. Momentum selling is active. This is how the momentum selling happens, right? So, so monitoring towards a high confidence is one thing very, very important, and that is where the serious sellers will take place in the system. So if the letter A is not getting disturbed, the letter A period high is not getting disturbed today, it could lead to a possible a dual momentum top. And once again, it could lead to a possible. Still, I'm not concluding that, but let's say if at all that's going to happen, there could be a possible dual momentum top. I'm connecting these two levels, it becomes a zone, and that becomes a dual momentum top. Dual momentum top. So I'm still not concluding this, but that is what the expectation. If the letter A is not getting disturbed, letter A period high is not getting disturbed in the second half. So far, auction is on the downside. Very clearly, the auction is on the downside, right? And here also, we've been seeing that high confidence selling pressure. Okay, so Nifty is ramping down faster. One of the primary reason is Reliance, and another reason is primarily because of what? Because of maybe because of Infi, I think. Yeah, Infi is also went down a little bit. It's also maintaining a high confidence selling. But I'm not sure what Infi could do, but so far it is having a high confidence selling. And so the TCS also, more or less, yes, TCS is heavily getting pushed to the downside. Yesterday we got a PPOC rejection, but nothing much happened. But today it's a gap down and it is ramping down. So high confidence selling in majority of the heavyweights, TCS, Infi, and how about the banks? Let's see. So banks are having high confidence selling. Reliance is having a extreme high confidence selling is there. HDFC Bank, to some extent, it is a bit slow so far, but HDFC Bank also need to measure for a possible dual momentum top. And how about ICICI Bank? ICICI Bank also maybe, yeah, we have to look for a possible dual momentum top here. So Reliance is what very faster it is crashing down. And that could be putting a lot of pressure on Nifty as well. So more and more pressure is coming in case of Nifty. So you know why it is ramping down? It is raising towards this level, 17,600. And a couple of my observations like whenever I'm seeing this kind of outlier signals, right? So the end is not a beautiful thing. It happens pretty much faster. These kind of outlier things, it taken a long time to come back, and finally, it's taking a long time, right? So, but the end is like a very much faster. So that is what we had seen, that it's not taking much of a time. The moment we blink, it's there. It will be happening all of a sudden. Something like that is what I had experienced in the past. Not only at a higher time frame level, I also seen this kind of things in an something like 5-minute level, 15-minute level. So whenever it's becoming like an outlier on 5 minutes or 15 minutes or hourly, daily and all, I don't go, but maximum 5 minutes, 15 minutes hourly. This is the maximum time frame I'll be looking for. Because daily we can't predict how much. Sometimes even a signal can go for years also. It'll be very difficult to say that. And for example, sometime back in HDFC Bank, I think one of the weekly signal was running like some 10 years. It was running without touching a 200-day moving average. And Amazon was running like for 10 years. Some 2008 to 2020, it ran like 12 years, kind of 12, 14 years it ran without touching a 200-day weekly moving average. So such kind of things, it does on a very higher time frame level. So I don't focus on a very higher time frame level. Rather, I'll try to focus these kind of outliers at a maximum up to hourly. That is what I'll look into. 5 minutes, definitely I'll look into that. 15 minutes, I look into that. If in case if there is any outlier is there, I'm very much aware that yes, it's an outlier. So we have to be a bit extra cautious about that. Comparatively, Bank Nifty is still very slow compared to what Nifty is doing. So that failed auction has been touched. So that doesn't mean like failed auction got a clearance. Of course, there are very few cases I had seen like it came and touched on 6th day. That is like out of 100 times I had seen like some 2 times or 3 times it came and touched on the 6th day. So generally, I don't on a 6th day I don't take it failed auction as a reference. But here the context is not the failed auction, because failed auction is no more a reference. We managed to keep only for 5 days only. But the context is the 17,610 levels. So maybe a reasonable liquidation has been happened. Now maybe rotation price might try to find some balance, and then slowly start coming down. See, one thing you have to remember, today is a Friday. If high confidence is maintaining like a high confidence, then Friday's activity will get spilled into Monday's activity also. That means we should start looking towards the next weaker reference level. If in case Friday is going to be let's say we're going to close by a little more than 150 plus points. So already how many points it had done? Already Nifty had closed below. I mean, it's been down like 200 points. So anything more than 150 plus points, if the Friday closing is likely to be there, then that effect will be spilled into Monday's price action also. So please keep it in mind, because sometimes people will forget that it's a Friday and they will be focusing only on the price action alone. So if the chances will be, I would say like 65% chances are there, like Friday's activity will get spilled into Monday's activity also. That means it's high time to focus on the next visual reference level, if in case, right? So all these are like only if we are going to close down below minus 150 kind of levels. Now, if that is the case, the next reference comes to 17,420. You know the reason why 17,420 is weaker? Because exactly dominant activity happened exactly from those levels. When one of the day, the dominant buyers, right, they took precisely from 30th August. 30th August, they started, they had a trend day, very clear dominance. But despite that, we had a big gap down, nothing happened. Again, a gap down, nothing happened. We maintained, and then we had a P-shaped profile. So P-shaped profile we had. Then also nothing happened. Price, the P-shaped profile balance was holding on over here. There was a P-shaped profile. The P-shaped profile acted like a kind of an support zone, and then the P-shaped profile got broken. But still, it's able to manage, and then it started building value area. Never that the visual levels had a clearance over here, right? So even though we anticipated by the time that could be chances like 17,450 can happen, but then later on, what happened? Within 4 days, we had a gap up. Every day was a gap up day, and then market fallen down. Again, a gap up day, market fallen intraday. Again, we had a gap up, and then we have a ramp. Again, one more gap up. So 4 days we had a gap up. Even international markets also, they gapped up, and then that 4 days was complete destroyer. Like completely any shorts would have been there. It completely removed out, and then finally the inventory here went long to too long because it finally had a poor high. That poor high haven't cleared the next day, right? And then it becomes a G2 high. And now we've been seeing that, I mean, it's kind of a potential top formation. Right? It's a potential top formation. And then what happened? It is, we are seeing the reversal of the signals thus far. So talking about the volatility, realized volatility would have been increased by now. I'll tell you the reason behind that. The reason is pretty straightforward. Let's go and pull up the ATR charts. Still, Bank Nifty is not starting with the setup yet. I don't know when it's going to start. Again, if it is starting, it is going to be a bit faster. Still, Bank Nifty is trying to form the top only. So here, what I have to bring ATR charts. So Bank Nifty is not showing much of an volatility, but definitely Nifty would have shown volatility here. Not much, but it is still increasing last couple of days. And one side VIX also a little bit improvement is there. Not much of an improvement, but there is a reasonable amount of improvement is there in the last couple of days. Like yesterday, also some 4% today. Also, if it is closing, like if increased volatility, if the volatility is increasing, then only the put sellers will go for an destruction. So still Reliance is having a long way to go, long way to travel to the downside. Another 90 points down. Imagine that if it is 90 points down, another 90, 80 points down, right? No, another 100 points down, approximately 107 points down. thus far in Nifty, I mean, Reliance had last 2 days, they traveled only 80 points. So likewise, another 100 plus points means imagine what kind of damage it can bring. So still the intensity in banks are slightly less only. First intensity is in Nifty. Then I think it might be having an accelerating effect on Bank Nifty maybe later on. But for time being, still banks are still outperforming. And one another very weird thing what happened yesterday is like I was looking into natural gas. So this is something like on a daily scale, it went crazy. Like one day before 14 September, we had seen a 10% move in natural gas. Imagine 10% kind of move. The very next day, we are seeing an almost 10% down. It went at some point in time. I was seeing like 9.6% down from the peak. So 10% up and 10% kind of down. It's kind of a freaky thing. That too, if it's happening in futures, imagine what kind of damage it can bring. So it's kind of a total uncertainty is there in this energy market space. One day market is moving up, another day it's crazily going down. That is how crude oil also more or less performing. Suddenly it is ramping up by 4%, and suddenly next day it is coming down by 6%, again going up by 5%. But still overall they haven't moved anywhere last couple of days. So here also almost same thing. Like it went up and then they're like coming down. Not much of an impact over yesterday. You can see that it almost went down by another 4% down. But one thing is there in crude oil, we have a multi-week breakout failure. So there is a multi-week breakout failure. So crude oil is having a multi-week breakout failure. And the gold is also comparatively coming down. So a lot of multiple support was existing at a certain level. That level has been breached yesterday. So that is inflation is generally gold is considered as an inflation hedge to the inflation. If the inflation goes up, gold is supposed to go up. But here gold is coming down. There are some times, right, we do have a strong correlation between gold and JPY. So USD JPY. If USD JPY goes down, gold will go up. If USD JPY goes up, then gold will start coming down. So that kind of correlation, they do exist. Even recently, if you would have been observed, even Bitcoin is having correlation with US markets totally. If Bitcoin is coming down, US market also coming down. US market comes down, Bitcoin comes down. So still non-stop price action only. Day low is still weaker. So means a mini bounce always will be used to sell off again. Sometimes the mini bounce can get as much higher as also, but eventually they'll start rotating from here on. It's a crazy liquidation. Almost 17,820 we started, almost 164 point range. I think most likely Reliance. So Reliance is still coming down very slowly only, but they've been coming down. Which is what it is putting more downside pressure in Nifty as well. I don't know why I had drawn a line at the 17,640, but I think it's some dummy level only. Yes, I'll remove this. Anyways, weaker point of control, one of the potential target in between, right? So, but that is not the important target at all. The important target is around the visual lows, 17,610. All right, so let me pause here. We'll come back in the second half and then we'll reevaluate whether 17,600 is being done by today or not. And also remember that Friday sentiment, if it is getting extreme, it will get spilled into Monday session also. So Monday also likely this weakness could continue. And later on, we have to evaluate whether to trade the longs or not. So let me pause here. We'll come back in the second half and we'll talk more about it. Thank you.